Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are gonna tell you a short story of mathematics. The first one is mathematics in Egypt. Egypt, which was of the earliest place inhabited by humans, is one of the most fertile area in Africa and one of the most fertile countries in the Mediterranean, which is rich in amazing historical heritage. Not only are the pyramids still standing strong, but the Egyptians already knew mathematics and geometry as we learn today. In ancient Egypt, mathematics, especially geometry, was only used practically. At the time, geometry was only used for very basic purposes. They are monitoring the size of land owned by residents for tax collection purposes, and this is done because every year the Nile River overflows, so land ownership by residents need to be monitored or remeasured. The ancient Egyptians knew a simple writing instrument resembling paper called papyrus, which is one of the most famous ancient mathematical documents, which is took to date from around 1650 before century. This papyrus contains many mathematical problems and formulas used at the time. This papyrus covers topics such as fractions, comparisons, and how calculate volume and surface area. Ancient Egyptian numeration was additive, where the value of number was the result of adding the values of its symbols. There were two ancient Egyptian numeration systems, hieroglyphic and hieratic. Hieroglyphics are small images that represent numbers. The number 1 was depicted by a simple stroke. Number 10 is a hobble for cattle. Number 100 is a coiled rope. The number 1000 is lotus flower. The number 10,000 is finger. The number 100,000 is a frog, and a million is a god with his hand raised in the adoration. Another number system used by Egyptians was hieratic numbers. Like hieroglyphics, hieratic symbols changed over time, but they underwent further change with 6 different periods. Initially, the symbols used were quite closely related to hieroglyphic writing, but their forms differed over time. Some version of hieratic numerals from around 1800 before century. The next one is mathematics in Babylonia. Babylonian mathematics is mathematics discovered in Mesopotamia 2500 years before century in the Babylonian civilization. Babylonian mathematics refers to all mathematics developed by the Mesopotamian people in what now is Iraq. The Babylonian number system was a base 60 system known as the sexagesimal system. They developed positional notation and used special symbols to represent numbers in this system. The number 60 has many divisors. There are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 50, 20, and 30, which makes calculation easier. The 60-base calculation system still exists today. They are by reducing the use of number 60 seconds for 1 minute and 60 minutes for 1 hour. The weakness of this system is that there is no zero symbols. The symbol 1 and 60 are the same. In this case, the space sign will not be able to help explain whether the symbol is 1 or 60. Then Babylonian multiplication and division tables, such as Plimpton's mathematical table 322, demonstrate their ability in mathematics. This table contains a large number of triplet of numbers that provide solutions to quadratic equation and may be used to calculate the ratio of right triangles. Babylonian mathematics was closely related to astronomy. They developed methods for predicting solar and lunar eclipses and recording the movement of celestial bodies, such as planets. For the creation of calendars, Babylonian writing and number are often also called cuneiform because they are shaped like nails.
Next, move to the history of math in Greece. History of mathematics in ancient Greece, starting with the expansion of the Greek Empire into the Palmyra region in Syria. The Greeks used their mathematical skills to build extraordinary geometric structures at the site. They highly valued mathematics and were innovative in combining the knowledge of the civilizations they invaded with their own achievements. Their major innovation was the introduction of deductive systems in mathematics. They started with axioms that were assumed to be true and built proofs from there, giving lasting power and truth to their mathematical discoveries. This history of mathematics in ancient Greece also highlights Pythagoras as a controversial figure. They are considered to be the ones who initiated the transformation of mathematics from a tool of accounting to a subject of analysis. Pythagoras is famous for his Pythagorean theorem, which relates the sides of a right triangle. Next, the discussion involves Plato, who crystallized the universe into 5 regular symmetrical shapes, now known as Platonic solids. Plato's theory has continued to inspire mathematicians and astronomers for centuries. Then after that, Alexandria became a center of excellence in mathematics and other sciences. Euclid, author of the Elements, established mathematical assumptions and used logical deduction to prove theorems, producing mathematical proofs that have remained valid for thousands of years. Later, Archimedes also came into focus, known for his contributions to geometry, technology, and pure mathematics. He developed methods for calculating the volume of special figures, including spheres, and carried out experiments with circles and slices to approximate the value of it. Then, in this history, Hypatia, a brilliant female mathematician in Alexandria, experienced a tragic end to her life due to political and religious conflict. In essence, the history of mathematics in ancient Greece describes a journey through the history of mathematics from Egypt, Babylonia, and Greece, then highlights the important contributions of mathematicians and philosophers, as well as the foundation they created for the subject of mathematics as we know it today. Next, the history of math in China. History of ancient Chinese mathematics investigates the great advance made in mathematics, particularly focusing on the use of counting rods. Ancient Chinese mathematicians used special symbols to represent tens, hundreds, and thousands. However, what is unique is that they do not have the concept of zero as a numeric number. For Chinese mathematicians, numbers have cosmic meaning and are considered to have mystical powers. Furthermore, in ancient China, mathematics played an important role in various aspects of life, including astronomy, the formulation of the calendar, and influencing imperial decisions. The Chinese remainder theorem emerged as an important tool in solving mathematical equations, which was later applied in modern cryptography and internet security. Mathematicians such as Qin Xiao contributed to the development of techniques for solving complex equations, laying the foundation for future mathematicians. Although estimative, this method paved the way for later mathematicians such as Isaac Newton, who used a similar approach in their mathematical endeavors. The history of Chinese mathematics remains an integral part of the global evolution of mathematics, reflecting the rich heritage and contributions made by ancient Chinese scholars to the world of numbers and problem solving.
History of math in India. The India discovery of the decimal system and the number zero in the 3rd century, attributing it to cultural and philosophical influences. Firstly, zero are only used to fill empty space and indicate the presence of zeros. I know you don't believe that Indians created this idea of the number zero with stones and sand. Indians found stones in the sand and left them, leaving a train of holes beneath them. Nothingness and eternity are Indian concepts of belief, so this is probably what led them to come up with the idea of the creating up number zero. In the 7th century, Indian scientists discovered a rule called Brahmagupta, that is, counting with the zeros. According to Brahmagupta's own rules, there are various ways to solve quadratic equations, one of which can be negative. Brahmagupta discovered various abstract ways to solve quadratic equations. Not only that, he also developed a mathematical language to understand abstraction. Brahmagupta also experimented with writing a new mathematical language using the initials of the names of colors. This new mathematical language eventually became X and Y and was written down in a journal. Indian mathematics also discovered the theory of trigonometry, even though it had previously been developed by Greek mathematicians. It was in the hands of Indian mathematicians that the subject developed. Indians used this theory to explore the land around them and navigate the seas and map the depth of space. The ancient Greeks were the ones who studied these sign functions but could not solve each since so Indian mathematicians took a step further. Next is the history of math in the Europe. In the 13th centuries, led by Italians, they traveled east. Since then, Europe began to explore Eastern culture. Then a child from Italy came home and wrote a book that influenced Western mathematics. The mathematician was Leonardo, or often called Fibonacci. Through his book entitled Calculator, he promoted new numbers that were easier and simpler, but all Italian habits were difficult to break. The city government of Florence even banned these numbers in 1299, but in the end people used to use them and the culture of Roman numerals began to disappear.